It wasn't pretty, but it doesn't matter. The New York Jets are 5-2 and winners of 4 in a row. Hey, what's going on? Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today we're breaking down the New York Jets 16-9 win. An ugly win, but a win is a win in every sense of the word. Before we get started today, I wanted to mention you can follow on social media at Matt O'Leary NY, and if you haven't already, please make sure to check out the Just Jets podcast. Today's video is sponsored by True Classic. Football is here, and our new sponsors, True Classic, want you to look and feel your best even after a couple of brewskis. Make sure that you are looking right with the perfect fit of the True Classic shirts. Luckily, True Classic has the absolute best fitting clothing a man can buy, snug in the arms and chest with a little extra space around the torso. Their t-shirts are designed to keep you cozy and highlight your best assets no matter what you're up to. So if your special someone is upset that you're watching football all day, at least you could look good while doing it. Our code is MATT25 for 25% off and free shipping. Pick yourself up something nice from trueclassic.com. All right, let's hop into this one. The New York Jets on the road in Denver, tough place to play. The number one passing defense in the league. And it was a kind of a slop fest, but as I said at the top, a win is a win. The Jets opened up this game with 3 straight passes, which I was very surprised about. The New York Jets came out throwing, and Zach looked off right away, which kind of expected against this defense. I don't think anyone who really saw what the Broncos had done week over week over week expected Zach Wilson to come out and have a great day. I mean, there's no denying it was not a good Zach Wilson day, but I also don't know what people were expecting to happen. Anyway, Jets go 3 and out. They punt. Denver Broncos, they pick up a first down, and then they punt it right back. Now the Jets start trying to run the ball a little bit, and Garrett Wilson, unfortunately, would have a holding penalty, which really killed the Jets' drive, and unfortunately, they were forced to punt. Penalties became a major issue for this football team. It was unbelievable. Next possession for the Denver Broncos, DJ Reed with an absolute hammer of a hit on Jerry Jeudy. My goodness, what a play by him. He's been unbelievable for the New York Jets, and they would be forced to punt. Get used to that word punt. You're going to hear that a lot in this recap. Zach Wilson tries to settle in a little bit. You get Braxton Berrios on a screen, and then you have a huge Breece Hall touchdown run. Things you just absolutely love to see. Breece Hall continues to do dominant things. Unfortunately, we wouldn't see a whole lot of Breece Hall after this. We'll get to all of that in just a little bit, but the Jets find themselves up 7-zip after a Breece Hall massive touchdown run. He's such a patient runner. He is so good with the football, and more on that later, but hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's okay there. Unfortunately, the New York Jets defense on the next possession went a little bit soft, and right before the half, I thought they got, like, the next few possessions before halftime, they got bailed out a couple of times, but hey, you'll take it, obviously. You had a sustained run drive. The Jets defense kind of didn't look that great. It's 7-6. Then you had McManus miss the extra point, so that would remain 7-6. Next possession, Jets got the ball back. Zach Wilson escapes pressure, holds on to it for too long, tries to throw it away kind of as he's falling down. It would have been a fumble if originally it was ruled that he was down on the play, thank God, because he tried to do way too much, and that could have been disastrous. And luckily he was able to avoid disaster today, despite not looking very good. Next possession for the Denver Broncos, the Broncos are driving again. This time they're really getting going on the ground game at this point. They attempt an incredibly long field goal with McManus, and he has a monster leg. We know he could hit 60-plus yarders. No good. So the Jets get really good field position, up by 1 point. And Jeff Smith with a drop on third down. Oh, it's so unbelievably frustrating that Jeff Smith, not only has to be in the game because of some issues with Elijah Moore, but 2, why is he on the field in that spot? It's just, unfortunately, the New York Jets were put in a position where they were weak at wide receiver today, especially after some injuries, and I think it showed at times. So Brain Man comes in, who has been fantastic the last really month or so. He struggled the first couple of weeks of the year, but has been fantastic ever since. He punts it down to the 1. Then you had a big play by Jerry Jeudy over LaMarcus Joyner. Joyner in the first half really struggled, thankfully would turn it around. And the second half on this same drive, Joyner, another penalty. This time the Broncos kick a field goal. They go up in front for their first lead of the day, 9-7. At this point, right before halftime, you would have Davis, Corey Davis, that is, AVT, Breece Hall. All three of those guys go down. None of those three guys come back. Those are arguably three of your top 4 to 5 offensive players on this team. I can't express enough. One, Corey Davis is Zach Wilson's favorite target, has been really clutch for them and is a great run blocker. AVT has played 3 different offensive line positions, and Breece Hall is the favorite for offensive rookie of the year and popped off a 60-plus yard run and had 74 yards on 4 carries before having to leave. So that is not good. And unfortunately, you would get a Braxton Berrios drop, which there was a couple drops in this game. There were also a couple bad throws. You could go, tit for tat there. You'd have Zach Wilson rush for a first down, which was good. Then you would have a Denzel Mims penalty, which rooting for Denzel Mims, wanted to see him in action today with no Elijah Moore. And he also got hurt later on in this game and had his, weekly penalty whenever he seems to play. Breece Hall's out at this point. Huge catch and run from Michael Carter. That was fantastic. That was one of the bigger highlights of today. Greg Zuerlein hits a 10 field goal to put it up 10-9. Next possession, Jets force a punt. Then you would have a huge Braxton Berrios run on offense. It seems like the Jets would every once in a while look like they would start to get something, and then the offense would either stall or the penalties would come. So then you would have a punt. Then on the next Broncos possession, Carl Lawson and Bryce Huff team up for a half a sack. They were both very good, and they're continuing to play, solid football. The Broncos would punt back to the Jets. The Jets would punt back to the Broncos. And then on third down, on the next possession for the Denver Broncos, you would have a beauty of a play from Jordan Whitehead to break up a pass on third down. That forces yet another punt from the Denver Broncos. Jets get the ball. Unfortunately, Dwayne Brown comes up with a holding penalty. It was his third penalty of the day. Penalty killed the Jets. The Jets would then be forced to punt because then these penalties would put them in first and second and third and long situations, and that was not a recipe for success against this team. Jets punt, but then LaMarcus Joyner, remember I told you the second half was much better? Here you go. LaMarcus Joyner interception. Jets get the ball. They start to drive a little bit. They get it into a short yardage situation. 4th and 1 from the 20. Do you take the points? Do you go for it? At the time, I initially thought, maybe might consider going for it, but Jets decide to take the 3. It was the right call. They go up 13-9. Next possession for the Denver Broncos. Quan Alexander has a huge tackle on third down short of the sticks to force a punt. He's fantastic. He was really good when he's on the field today. I thought Quincy struggled a little bit at times today, but overall, Jets defense really clamped down after a little bit of a tiny rough patch where they got bailed out a little bit in the second quarter of this game. But anyway, Jets with the ball now. They pick up a couple of first downs, and then you get another holding penalty. Another holding penalty. 11 for 85. That was the mark at this point in the game, 11 for 85. Let me see if I could pull up the final tally for how many penalties there were in this game. Can we do team stats? Would that tell me? Please hold penalties. 11 for 85. That would be the final. 4 for 35 would be for Denver. Jets 11 for 85. They have to clean that up next week against the New England Patriots, especially when you're in your own building. There was a late hit on Denzel Mims. We talked about Mims getting hurt. So there was a throw to Mims, a ball that he got his hands on it, probably should have caught it. Was it behind him? Also, yes, not a good throw. No call. It was late. It was pretty late. They slowed it down on the broadcast, definitely late. Braxton Berrios would draw a defensive pass interference. The Jets would settle for 3. They would go up 16-9 at this point, up by 7, up by a touchdown. And with how the Jets defense was playing and how Rippon and the Broncos offense looked, felt pretty confident at this point, despite how poor the offense was today. The Broncos would get to 4th and 3 situation. They're driving down the field a little bit. They got the ball around the 20-yard line. Obviously, a touchdown. You're right back in this game. You would tie it up. But 4th and 3, who do they test? Sauce Gardner. Deep? One-on-one? Why? Stupid. What is Rippon thinking? What is Nathaniel Hackett thinking? Dumb. The New York Jets Then obviously get turnover on downs. They try to run the ball a couple of times. Does not work. They don't pick up a first down. They punt it back, a booming punt from man. We get to see, the Jets go into a little bit of a prevent. So Denver dinking and dunking their way down the field. And it looks like CJ Mosley has the game-winning interception. Not so fast. For some reason, overturned. The Jets get the turnover on downs, and they win their 4th game in a row in a sloppy one. Again, there's no denying this game was incredibly sloppy and at times very difficult to watch. But the New York Jets improved to 5-2 with a huge divisional game against the New England Patriots at home on Sunday. Wow. So, yes, that's where we're at right now. As we mentioned, Zach Wilson, not very good today. I mean, we're just going to be blunt about it. There were a ton of factors for why he wasn't good, but he also missed throws that he should have made. 16 of 26, 121 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Am I out on Zach Wilson? No, I am not. When you look at what the Denver Broncos have done to teams every single week, this isn't surprising. Again, I picked the Jets to win 20-13 one time this year. Once the Denver Broncos have allowed an opponent to go over 20 points. So I don't really know what you were looking for, especially what they did to Justin Herbert last week. He threw for just over 200 yards and had 2 picks on 57 attempts last week. That defense is legit, and they proved it. Breece Hall, again, really good. 4 carries for 72 yards, a touchdown. He's hurt. We are holding our breaths now for Breece Hall, Elijah Vera Tucker, and Corey Davis. You need all 3 of those guys back. You need Zach Wilson to snap back and get back into it a little bit. This upcoming week against the New England Patriots, another tough defense, followed by another tough defense against Buffalo. So tough stretch of games, but the New York Jets continue to roll. We will keep an eye out on these injuries. Let me know your thoughts on the game down below in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.